can see the way they hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sunlight shining in.
Well, good morning and welcome to episode 857 of the Lots Project Morning Show, where the coffee is strong, the opinions are stronger, and everything is always filter free. I'm Brian, your host, and it's September 29th, 2025. This morning, I'm enjoying a fresh cup of a new experimental blend, a light Colombian with medium dark Peruvian from foodforestfarms.com, because life's too short for shitty coffee. At Food Forest Farms, your beans are roasted by real human hands using a clean stream air roaster. More than just a customer, your family. Get 10% off with code LOTS10. That's LOTS10, and shipping is always free. While you're there, check out C4 Club for even more awesome perks. Today, we've got another busy show, a visit from the in-laws, mistakes we've already made on the cabin build and how we fix them, a roundabout way. That's fun. A property walk with Kerry Brown out at Delinquent's Gully, and a few interesting products I have lined up for review. Grab your coffee, smash that like button, and let's get started. Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Canadian Farmstead says he's driving. Hey, drive safe, man. Drive safe. Hopefully you can keep her on the road. Hunter over on Twitch, good morning to you, sir. And Pip, good morning and happy Monday, humans. Happy Monday to you, Pip. I hope you have a fantastic day. Have a little bit of this light Colombian with medium dark Peruvian. It was kind of it's kind of an accident, kind of a whoopsie. A few weeks ago, I was drinking the new Brazilian bean that Brian brought in over at Food Forest Farms, and it was a medium roast. Brian roasted it medium for me. I'm a huge fan of light roast. I really like everything kind of on the lighter scale, but Brian does make some good blends for me and mix in a little bit of dark stuff. Well, it had the Brazilian and had roasted it medium for me, and I could really tell that bean, it was really good medium, but I could tell that bean probably wanted to sit in that darker range. You could just tell the mouthfeel and everything. It probably brought out its best features at a dark level, and that's just not my style. I just don't like that. It's not my taste. But I suggested maybe a blend with some light stuff, and he said, I'll do it. And then when he was roasting, he got in the groove, as you do when you're pounding out orders, and ended up blending up some Colombian with a medium dark Peruvian instead. Sent that, and it's good. It's good. So how it ended up rolling down this morning, I had a little bit left in my FTO Blonde Espresso bag, and so I finished that up, and then also made a single mug of this new light Colombian and medium dark Peruvian blend, and threw that in a mug. And so I'm finishing that up, and that's good. It's good. I'm still really curious to try that Brazilian, maybe a dark Brazilian and light Colombian blend. I think that would be really fantastic. But this Peruvian with the light Colombian works well. Canadian Farm says this espresso. What about espresso? FTO Blonde Espresso. Yes. That's in the mug. That's right here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about coffee right now. I have a big old sale. Well, it's a pretty significant sale over at Food Forest Farms. You can get that exclusively in the Lots Project Telegram chat at t.me/LotsChat. T.me. Oh, not X. Yeah, I didn't say X, man. Espresso. It's not my first day drinking coffee. Anyway, there's a big sale over at Food Forest Farms coffee site. You can find out more about that at the Telegram chat. It's exclusively for the Telegram chat crew over at the Lots Project chat. t.me/lots chat. You join in, it is the pinned comment. If you don't see the pinned comment, say, hey, showed up for the coffee sale and curious what it is, and I'll let you know. That's a limited time thing, so head on over to the Lots chat and check that out, t.me/lots chat. The other thing I had on my list, I've been meaning to mention over a while. Mike's Homestead, good morning, thanks for stopping. Is the AeroPress. I think I talked a little bit about it a ways back, and for a long time, for a long time, I was using a French press. I love the stainless steel French press that I had. It made a fantastic pot of coffee, and went back and forth. I wanted to try some new brew methods, basically to do some evaluation, some content on, do some coffee content. And so I picked up an AeroPress. I picked up a couple of other little brewers, single cup and small batch. And the AeroPress won me over. Absolutely. Just, that's all I use now. So what the AeroPress is basically a combination between a French press and a drip brew and a pour over. It's kind of like this big meld of a few different brew methods, but super clean. That's the biggest thing for me. Basically, I make 2 rounds of an AeroPress, and I weigh out my coffee and make it proportional in the AeroPress, and then I add hot water to it to make it the strength that I want in the size cup that I'm brewing it in. But with the French press, it was always a struggle to clean it out, to get rid of the grounds. It was always making a mess in the sink. It was making a mess all over the place, basically. And the AeroPress is just wonderful because it makes a little puck in the bottom of the brewer when you're done, and it just pops out in the garbage, and a plunge or in the recycling when we get out to the property, we'll be composting it. But little puck pops out, and the plunger cleans the brew tube, and it's wonderful, really. Somebody had mentioned it in another chat I'm in when I was talking about a camping, I think it's the Stanley Boil and Brew, a portable camping French press. And they were like, yeah, I really like French press, but it's just so much water to clean, especially when you're camping and you're bringing your own water in. And I was like, huh. He said he used the AeroPress, and it's way easier, way cleaner. And I kind of was like, yeah, I'll give it a try at some point. And boy, was he right. I wish I had listened sooner. I've gone completely to the AeroPress. If you're looking to grab one, you can go to thelotsproject.com and hit the product review page. And right there at the top, one of the recommended product pictures is an AeroPress. And click on that. It'll take you over to Amazon. You can pick one up there. Well worth the cost. It's all I use anymore, really. I still have a pour over. I still have a French press. I still have a drip brew, but that AeroPress is definitely my go-to every morning, and it works great. It brews a great cup of coffee, and like I said, clean, easy to manage. And once you dial in your brew amount, like your coffee weight, and how much you're making, it's game changer. And another thing is, I was using it the intended way. Basically, you put a little filter in a cap on the bottom. You put your coffee in, you pour the water in, and you give it some time to brew in there, and then you depress a plunger. After I had used it for a little while, like that, I saw somebody mention something called the inverted brew method for the AeroPress, and I looked it up, and basically you make it upside down. You put the plunger in, you flip it upside down, and you make it upside down, so it starts to mix the water and the coffee a lot sooner. And it sits in there, and then you put your cap on with the filter, and you flip it over, which stirs it even more. I give it a little swirl or two before I drop it on the cup and depress the plunger. And it's it's fantastic. I can't say enough about it. That it's been around for quite a while. I recently, I guess within the last 6 months or more, a little more, picked one up, and I recommend you do today for sure. It's if you make daily coffee and you make a little bit. I mean, you can make as much as you want. I make in the morning. I make 2 rounds, so I'll make a mug and I'll make a travel mug, and it's enough for me. It's enough for me. And like I said, you can up the weight, up the concentration of your brew coming out of the press, and then make it to taste with the rest of your hot water in the glass you're going to be drinking it out of. So check out the AeroPress today. Let's get on with the show. kind of a light show, kind of one track mind, one track topics today. The dogs are kind of playing in the back room, and things are bouncing around here a little bit. Spent the week with the in-laws. In-laws came into town last week after the show on Monday and stuck around until Saturday. Spent a lot of time with them. I actually didn't turn my computer on all week. After the show, I processed everything. They showed up. I shut down the screens, and the next time I turned it on was last night to set the show up again. So that was kind of that was kind of a nice break. I didn't really spend a whole lot of time on social media on my phone. I was just spending time with them. We did a lot of trips out to the cabin. We spent I think 3 of the days they were here out at the cabin site, a couple working, and then we had a get together. I'll talk about that. But it was kind of a nice break from everything, and it makes me want to possibly pursue that some more, but didn't get into a whole lot of seeing news stories or bullshit on social media, so didn't have a whole lot of things spin onto the topic list for this week's show. So I guess I just will talk about the week and what went down and what we got going on. Canadian Farm says down timber almost done. Yeah, it's been a rough month for Bitcoin. I had hopes that we'd hit 150 by the end of September. I don't think that's going to happen. We got one, or it's like a WrestleMania back there at the moment. We got a couple days left here in September, and right now we're sitting at Bitcoin price check-in 111,997. 111,997. That's not anywhere close to 150. I don't think we're going to pop up to that in the next 2 days. So, live and learn. You make a guess, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But we'll see. We'll see about Bitcoin. And just rolling with it. I'm in it for the long haul. So these short ups and downs, it is what it is. We'll figure it out in the long run. Anyway, in-laws showed up. So before they showed up, I think we talked about on last week's show, Corey and I had gotten on the cabin build. We had gotten the girder beams put in place around the outside in between the posts of the cabin on the long side, and got the footers poured down the center for a big long beam. And that's kind of where we ended up before the in-laws got here. My goal for the week was to figure out how to get that beam constructed and installed. Basically, it was going to be a 35-foot long 2x2 ply 2x12 beam. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight. I had gone back and forth a couple different ways. At one point, we were going to be having a bunch of people over at some point during the week, like 15-ish people, and some had to cancel their trip. So we were down to like 6 people. When we had that larger group of people, I was thinking about building the beam parallel to where it was going to go. And then with a lot of hands, that makes that heavy lifting a lot easier. And I figured we'd be able to pick it up and set it in place. We're talking like probably 500, 600 pounds So I wasn't really excited to do it with a few people, especially, or just Corey and I. It would have been kind of tough. So I was going back and forth whether to build it and then lift it into place, or if we could build it in place and set it and build it one piece, add a piece on, and construct it as we go. So the plan for constructing it was, out of the 2x12s, we'd be offsetting seams, putting longer pieces, staggering longer and shorter pieces on either side, using construction adhesive and structural screws to basically laminate the board. So we could get the first two pieces in. I had all the cuts figured out to make it the right length. Put the first two pieces in, they'd be offset, and then add a piece on each side and kind of put it together like a puzzle right in place. And since we didn't have a whole lot of people to manhandle this thing after the fact, I decided that I really wanted to build it in place. So the first day that the in-laws went out, we were dealing with mud, a ton of mud. I don't know if I mentioned the mud last week, but we got a bunch of rain right before they got here, and pretty much I want to say almost the whole time they were here, except for the day we were having a get-together party out at the property, which was nice. We dealt with the rain and the wet and everything while they were here, but it was nice to have a beautiful day when we wanted to get together with friends. So the mud at the site, since it got cleared and leveled for the build, my groundwork guy hasn't been back to grade around the outside. So when it rains, it funnels all that mud or all that water under the rooftop, and it's all exposed clay. It just turns into like a slip and slide and a goopy mess that sticks to your boots, and it just makes life miserable. So we were working in that for the first couple days of the week. We headed out there, dealt with the mud. Corey's dad and I measured out and cut all the 6x6 posts that were going to go under the beam on those footers. Got those installed into the brackets, and then we started constructing the beam, and it actually went really smooth. We cut up all the pieces. We cut them all to length. We used a Honda generator and a compound miter saw that we built or that we bought for when we started the woodworking stuff. Went really smooth. Had those all laid out. Started putting them together. They pressure treated wood is a tough one with some of the bows and warping and things like that naturally just pressure treated wood has. Lined up okay. It'll work. It turned out really well in the end, but it was interesting putting it together. As we built it across, it was kind of wavy and curvy. After we attached it to all the posts, it ended up straightening it up. It was kind of amazing to see how curvy it was, and once we locked it into all the posts and the footings, it straightened right up. So we got the whole beam built, and it was in place. We got it attached to all the posts underneath. They were all level and square. It was looking good, and we were standing there kind of contemplating the next step, which would be running joists. And we were looking at the one end that we finished on, and it looked off. It looked off. It looked too high. And so we started measuring out to the sides, and it was off. It was like almost 3 inches too tall, taller than the outside girders that we had already hung. And the way we had done this is the hangers that I had to use because of width and just the way they'd lined up were interior screw hangers. So basically, you install the hanger and then insert the girder or the beam afterwards. So basically, it was a lot of measuring. And since we're not going off grade, we're going off we're going off of level, basically the level that the builders marked on the posts when they installed the roof. He shot a level line on all the posts with a transit, so that was our reference point on all the posts. Somehow, I got all the hangers measured out right. Pip says it's 3 inches. You can see it. Yeah. Oh yeah, you could see it. It just looked a little off. So basically what happened is when the center posts that the big beam was attaching to, they they had different markings on them because they're longer. They support the trusses up higher because the trusses pitch, and in the center they're a little higher. So it appeared that I measured wrong on the center posts, which really irritated me. I got very angry, and trying to figure out what we we're going to do. So we had a couple options. We could either try to lift the beam, lower the brackets, cut off the tops of all the posts, and then reinstall the beam, or we could move all the exterior girders that we had put in all the way around the outside, basically lift those out, and drop the brackets and reinstall the beams. So it was basically move 8 of them that were easier to handle, and a ton of screws and a bunch of dicking around, or figure out how to lift that 500 to 600 pound beam and cut off a bunch of posts and move some brackets and drop that back in without it falling. Went back and forth. Went back and forth a bunch. Wasn't really sure what we wanted to do. The lifting the beam seemed really sketchy. And then working under it was probably even more sketchy. And so in the end decided to adjust all the outside girders across and raise those up to meet the level of the post or the center beam. So I got my measurements, tested one, moved it, measured it, made sure it was level, and it was. And so we kind of left it at that, and that's where we got with the in-laws' help, and that was what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to get that center beam in. It wasn't done because it wasn't right, because I messed up, and it was long before they got here that we had those brackets hung. So it was definitely on me. And so we left it at that. We wrapped that up, and we had a get together with some friends to celebrate some birthdays. My beautiful bride had a birthday. Her father had a birthday. My father-in-law, and a really good friend, all had a birthday within a week. So we had a little get together at the property. First one, used that new grill that we picked up that I talked about last week. Cooked up burgers and had some cocktails and just had a really good time and hung out. Kerry from Strong Roots Resources was out in the area. He spent the night, and I'll talk about the property walk we did with him a little bit. But had a really good barbecue. Had a great time. Spent the evening hanging out at the property. Hopefully the first of many times that we're out there having get-togethers and enjoying a meal with friends. Appreciate everybody that came, and we had a good time. I had a great time, for sure. And but anyway, in-laws took off after that, and Corey and I went out. I think it was Saturday after they took off, I believe, was when all this went down. So we moved. We had one out of the seven side beams raised and put into the new position. And Corey and I started on that side, finished the other 3 on that side, and as we got to the last one on the opposite, so this would have been the side that we started the beam on. So we started the beam we finished the beam and we checked on the end that we finished. And then when we started raising them, we worked the opposite way. And when we got back to the end where we started the beam and we were kind of eyeballing the new placement of the outside ones, Corey's like, they look too high. Like they seriously look about 3 inches too high. And after some measuring and some looking and some checking level, came to the realization that we hadn't mismeasured both the brackets on the main beam, only one. So one end was 3 inches higher than the other end, and over 35 feet when you're running a string. And I don't know if I necessarily checked. I'm pretty sure I had to have checked level, but it was that close. 3 inches over 35 feet isn't a whole lot. And if you're a little off even where the string is setting, you're like, okay, yeah, that's level. You look at the level and the bubbles inside might be a little to one side or the other, but somehow skip through. And so now we're kind of fucked. Now the side beams of one side of the cabin are level with one end of the beam, and the side beams on the other side of the cabin are level with the other end of the beam. And we had to decide what we were going to do. If we were going to raise the beam on one end and move the other 4 side beams up, or if we were going to lower the end of lower the other end of the beam and put the 4 that we just moved back to where they were originally. Either way, at this point we were moving. We had to definitely fuck around with the main beam in the middle and move 4 of the outside. Canadian Farmstead says I should be used to eyeballing 3 inches. You're being generous. You're being generous. So anyway, that's the decision we had at that point. And after thinking about it, after contemplating it, and looking at what we would have to do with the posts, basically it came down to the 6x6 posts under the center beam. It made sense to drop the one end and then cut off, remark the posts in place and cut them off to be where they needed to be. So, and then drop the other 4 beams back into place. We used some ratchet straps, used a choker knot on the both ends of the main support beams that support the roof, and some side support ratchet straps to steady the beam as we picked it up, and it worked pretty well. We got it up in the air. We got it up in the air far enough that we needed to drop that bracket to have access to all the screws, and then to run a line on the posts and cut them off, and it all went pretty smooth. And then we realized that we can't drop the beam into place controlled. We had it on ratchet straps, and if you know how ratchet straps work, you pull the little lever and you pop it, and it just releases. That would just drop that beam, and it needed a little finesse to get back into the brackets. It isn't like a big wide area to try to drop it into. It needed to be guided in slowly. So we grabbed a couple of bottle jacks out of the truck and rigged something up and got that on some bottle jacks where we were able to control the speed of the drop, and we were able to do it. Corey and I knocked it out. I was super impressed. She knocked it out of the park, helping, suggestions, and just being in the right place at the right time. And we got it all back in place. We dropped that in and secured it back to the post. It went super smooth. I was really happy. I think if we had realized that it was going to be as easy and go as smoothly as it did, we probably would have done the beam first of all. And I don't know if we would have caught the fact that one end was higher than the other, and it wasn't both ends that were off. So I don't know. Things might have gone different. We got that beam back in place, and then yesterday morning we got out there early and got those ones, the side beams we moved back in place and checked level in every freaking direction we could find. Really paying attention to not only if the bubble was in the lines on the level, but if it was leaning one direction or not. And if it was, we really looked into that. We were satisfied that all the beams were the same height. We remeasured. I don't know where I went there. The internet was working fine. Remeasured from the tops and any direction we could, and everything looks good. Everything looks square, and we were happy to move on from that point. So already making mistakes. That was kind of the rectification. How we fixed it. Man, lots of extra work. moving things back, and at least now everything is square, level, and the way it should be. And yesterday, after we got that done, we went ahead and started hanging joists. We got 19 joists, 19 out of the 52 joists hung yesterday. It was going really well. We got in a groove. Just kind of ran into the end of the day. Corey had to get back to work today for a few days this week, and had to get home. So we knocked out 19 of the joists yesterday. She's got to work a couple days this week, and I think by the end of the week we'll be back out there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I mean, she's got 4 or 5, I think 7 days off in a row again. So we'll get a ton of work done. I think we're gonna move on to we'll get the rest of those joists knocked out and then get the subfloor on. That's in the next. Hopefully by the end of our next vacation, we got that subfloor on, and we're moving on to. Bless you, Corey. We're moving on to framing out windows and doors and that phase of the project. So that's my job this week while she's working. Beyond, along with every other thing that I'm going to be doing, is get those windows and doors figured out and ordered. Figure out where we're going to get those and get those on order and get the lumber for framing out the exterior walls on order and figure out how we're going to get that to the site. And that's the next phase. Once we get that floor on, is getting those walls up and then the metal itself. So that is exciting news. We're moving along and things are going smooth. Corey and I've got our system down for hanging the joists. It's going really well. A lot smoother than I thought. We got a lot more done yesterday than I expected. So I'm happy with that. And I think we're on schedule with the build. I was hoping to have the floor hung by the end of September, but I knew we did have guests coming into town, and we had some other things we had to take care of, and we had some weather days. And I think by that end of that first full week in October, if we have the floor in by then, I would be happy for sure. So goal still is to be out in there and be able to live out there by the first of the year. And I could see it happening right now. I don't think that's out of the question. I think we could be staying out there by the end of the year for sure. So we'll see. Keep pegging at it and see how things go. Other than that, I think in-laws trip was pretty uneventful. We did spend a lot of time out at the cabin. We did go down to the Pickwick State Park here. The Pickwick Dam on the Tennessee River and drove across the dam, saw the locks. We thought that it was going to be more of an opportunity to tour some stuff, but Homeland Security reasons or some shit, we weren't able to get close. So we went for a little bit of a hike. We saw some birds at the raptor enclosure there at the state park. It wasn't a whole lot going on. And other than that, we played a bunch of games. We played a bunch of cornhole, played some bags, cornhole, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of a tradition with us. That's one of the things they bring with them when they come down here. And so we were able to play for quite a bit. Had a good evening playing that, and they introduced us to a new card game we had never played before. I think it was called Five Crowns. 5 Crowns, I think. That was a fun card game. We played that pretty much every night. Had a good time playing that, and should check that out. It comes in a set. It's like Uno. It's got its own deck of cards and rules and stuff. So you don't use a standard deck of cards. So you can find that on Amazon and order that up. I recommend that game. It was fun. I don't know if you need to get the premium. I was looking at it. We'll probably order it up a set for Corey and I. Probably don't need to go with the premium tin that it comes in. I think the game itself, if you just grab the box with the game in it, is like $12. So it's not bad. It's not bad. Let's see. So that was in-laws trip. I enjoyed their trip. They had a great time. I'm glad they come down. I really people that scream about their in-laws and can't stand them and all that. I kind of giggle because I really enjoy. I like mine, and I enjoy spending the time with them. So glad they came down, and they're on their way home, and hopefully they make the rest of their trip home safe. They headed off to Missouri to do a little sightseeing on the way home. So that was the visit from the in-laws and the mistakes we've made so far on the cabin build. It was Brian had a little stress, anxiety, anger for a few different moments during all those realizations of the mistakes, and now I'm better. Everything's fixed now, so I'm a little bit better. Just waiting for the next one to happen. Anyway, one mistake you don't want to make is not securing your Bitcoin. We were talking about the price a little earlier, and it's down, but it's bound to go back up again. Or even at this price, you don't want anyone getting their hands on your coins. Bitcoin isn't going to get hacked, but your wallet, your software wallet may, or we may experience something like the JavaScript hack that happened I don't know, it's last month now. It's not going to happen with the Blockstream Jade or Jade Plus hardware wallet. Easy to use with the Blockstream app. Newly designed the Blockstream app. They changed away from Blockstream Green and upgraded to Blockstream app. It works great. It's smooth. It's seamless with the Blockstream Jade and Jade Plus. I really enjoy it. I've been using it for quite a while now. Have lots of satisfied people have picked one up, and it's easy to use. It's easy enough for a beginner, but customizable enough for advanced user. Blockstream Jade and Jade Plus. You get 10% off over at Blockstream, store.blockstream.com. Use code TheLotsProject or click the link down in the video description, and the code will be applied at checkout automatically. That's the Blockstream Jade Plus at store.blockstream.com. Let's see. One of the people that came out for our get together, he had stuff brewing on this end of the state. Had something he wanted to go to, an event he wanted to go to, and then had some stuff to do out at Delinquent Scully. Was Kerry Brown of Strong Roots Resources. Kerry has been the design consultant and plant guru, I guess, and food forest designer, property advisor out at Delinquent Scully for since the beginning, really. Really enjoy working with Kerry. I enjoy learning from him. I enjoy walking around the property and talking design stuff with him, coming up with plans and seeing them through. So he was out and decided to stay for a get together. I appreciate that. But the morning of the get together, so Friday morning, the in-laws and Corey and I join me when Kerry comes out. We do a property walk. Basically, we walk around, talk about what's going well, what's not thriving, some changes or future plans, and I always enjoy that. And so I invited Corey and her parents along for this trip. This time, walking around. And we had a good time. We kind of hit the bottom half of the property that has stuff in the works. Basically, from there's a Tim's cabin and our build site are about halfway up the property, both of them. And so we kind of focused on that part towards the front of the property. Made a little loop, a walk around. We walked down through the food forest. identified plants. Kerry kind of dropped some knowledge on us about several different plants, and then the projects that we were working on, and what we've done, and what we should focus on this fall. What I'm going to be focusing on this fall, since weed eater season is coming to a close. I don't have to be running a weed eater every day, all day. Like this summer was pretty intense with getting the rain, and then the sun, and then the rain. It was like a jungle out at the property, and was running weed eater quite often, so not a whole lot could get accomplished. But as fall rolls in, and I don't have to be running that thing, lots of projects on the to-do list. One of the projects that we worked on last year that we were able to check in on and see some progress was our mushroom logs. Corey and I knocked out the mushroom logs for the food forest. I think it was last November is when we got them done. So 11 months, 10 months, 10 and a half months. And we've seen some mushrooms. Nothing out of them for that first 10 and a half months, but I really wasn't expecting anything. We got them done a little late for them to have a spring flush. And so I was hoping this fall, and I had no idea when we would start to see things, or if at all, if we were going to see anything this fall. But the shiitakes started popping after all that rain I talked about earlier in the show that provided the mud to work in up at the property, or up at the build site. They soaked in the logs pretty well, and lo and behold, started getting some shiitakes to flush out. So I haven't checked on them that was Friday when I saw them last, and we didn't pop down there at any point this weekend. We were pounding out work on the cabin, but I'm guessing they flushed out a little bit more over the weekend, and we will see how they go. So we saw some growth on the shiitake. We haven't seen any cool weather shiitake, pearl oyster, or king oysters yet, but I have a feeling that they are on their way soon as the weather cools off and we get more wet, damp weather. If I hadn't seen any growth from them, if I hadn't seen any flushing from them, I was probably going to let them sit again over the winter and keep an eye in the spring. And if need be, I was going to do the soak and shock method for the logs. But since we started popping the shiitakes, I'm guessing I'm not going to have to do that. I think that is also a way to get them to flush, even if they are active. So we will see on that, but excited to see some shiitakes popping up. I told Corey we gotta get some mushroom recipes and things to do with these mushrooms we're going to be having. Kerry and I also talked about the hops experiment that we're going to be doing. Running a cable across a big slope. We have a big slope, big hill that comes down into the food forest, and we were looking to grow some hops and didn't really have a good flat place to do it. And so I mentioned it in the spring. We came up with an idea to string. If you know how they grow hops, a hops yard basically usually has a telephone pole, like 2 poles on each end, and they run a guide wire across the middle and then drop guidelines down to the ground, and the hops grow up the guidelines, and they can grow up to 20 feet tall. So a typical hop yard will have a bunch of rows of hops with a post on each end and guidelines, and it's just like rows, like football lines on a football field. We don't really have any flat area to kind of set that out at Delinquent Scully, and we didn't really want to grow a ton of hops, not necessarily for production. We might end up having more than one of this setup if it works out well. But we just wanted to try a run of hops on a hill up above the food forest, and in one reason we want to do that is that's the space we had, and another reason is it gets pretty intense sun later in the year, and we're thinking that this will actually be almost like a shade screen. on some of the food forest. So as it grows in, it'll shade out, and the further out into summer it gets, and the more intense sun, this will almost give some of the food forest a little bit of relief from that. Namely, the area that we're going to have a little tree propagation and a little propagation area will probably end up shaded by this in the middle of the summer when when the sun is most intense. But basically, we came up with the idea to use two very sturdy trees that are in line with each other, about, I don't know, 40, 50 feet apart maybe. And we're going to go up 20 feet on the tree. We're going to install a pulley on both of them, and then we're going to run our guy wire. And instead of normally the way you'll run it in hops yard is you'll run it across and then tie it off. So it's just a guy line, and you have to have a piece of equipment to go up and cut down the top of the hops when they're done and they drop down to the ground. Well, we won't be able to get equipment in there. We won't be able to get a ladder to stand up to the guy line to cut them down when they're ready. So we were thinking that we could tie off the line and have excess line at the bottom, and when the hops are ready, we'll unhook the bottoms and let the line drop down and stay on the pulley. And then when in the spring, when we want to tie up the new lines, the vertical lines for the hops to grow on, we'll tie them up and pull the line back up and secure it on the post. It's kind of hard to picture. Excuse me. Wow, that one snuck up on me. Sorry. It's kind of hard to picture, but basically it'll be bringing the work to the ground level instead of having it up in the air and on this slope where it wouldn't be manageable to do. So this fall we started hops rhizomes down in the propagation area in the food forest in the spring, and letting them get a season of growth. This fall, the plan is to get the infrastructure set up on the hill, get a spot cleared out, a walking path, and a planting path for the hops, and get the hardware on the trees and the guy line all set up. So in spring, we can come out and transplant those hops rhizomes up onto the hill and hopefully get some growing this next spring. So spring into summer. So we'll see how that goes. Another little project that I have to work on out there is an area that we kind of earmarked for a possible another guild on the property. Started to clear it, and it looks really good for. I think we're going to use it for comfrey propagation area where we're going to get in production comfrey. We'll get in probably 3 or 4 rows, 3 or 4 decent rows of comfrey plants in there, and it's on a slope, so we'll be able to do a little bit of swale on contour and plant those plants into the mounds. So when we do get the little bit of rain we do in the summer, and it rolls down the hill, we'll be able to catch that in the swales and nourish those plants, and maybe even put a little rainwater catch on the top of the hill and drip irrigation down to the plants as they're getting going. So I got to clear that area out and prep that for some comfrey install to have a nice big comfrey patch. Speaking of comfrey, comfreyroots.com back up and rolling. We're on back order this summer because we weren't shipping in the super heat that we had across the country. We were having some problems with orders showing up with delays in the post office, and the heat was just killing the chances of the plant surviving. So we shut her down, but we're back up and rolling now. Comfreyroots.com. You can get your comfrey orders in. They ship every Monday. Order today, they'll ship next Monday. Show up, no problem. Get your comfrey started now. Going into fall is a great time to get it in the ground now, or even after the first frost, and when the plants go dormant, they'll sit and they'll just wait for spring, and they'll be there when the thaw happens and spring comes. They'll be ready to rock. So head on over to comfreyroots.com, pick up your comfrey. So that's another place. A third project I got to do out at Delinquent's Gully is to reevaluate the water system that we had over by Tim's cabin, where we kind of put in a makeshift collection point in the creek that runs next to Tim's. And with that huge rain event we had this spring, where we got it was like 7 inches in I would say it wasn't 2 days, it was probably a day and a half. And the flash flood down through the gully kind of blew everything up. It filled our collection point with silt, overfilled our collection point with silt, and blew our 55-gallon drum right out of the water, literally, and took it down the stream a little bit. But that is a spring-fed stream, creek, whatever you want to call it. One project this fall, I talked to the neighboring property owner, and this kind of is the pretty close to the border, and it kind of weaves back and forth along the property line. I talked to the other property owner, and I'm going to do some exploring and hopefully find the spring head that's feeding that. I've been above it on the property, up the hill, past it, and there are points where it's not flowing. So at some point. And then there's an inaccessible area. And as I talked to the other property owner, we both realized that this is a quote unquote inaccessible. Nothing's inaccessible, really. It's just not easily accessible. We're guessing that the spring head is somewhere in that area. So when the foliage drops and it's easier to see and easier to get through, and I'm going to cut a path. I'm going to do some trailblazing. I'm going to head up through there and hopefully find the spring head. And we'll do an appropriate build out on the spring head, put in a spring box, and likely provide some water for both sides, both properties. And that is a goal this fall, is to locate that spring head and come up with a plan for getting spring fed water on that side of the property. So that should be a fun deal. Going to be cutting through a bunch of deadfall. The reason it's inaccessible really is a lot of trees have fallen over this ravine. So lots of deadfall, lots of overgrowth, blackberries, and it's a mess. It really is a mess. So trying to pick your way up through there and find the source for this creek is it'll be interesting. Good fall winter project when there isn't a whole lot of stuff popping in there and a lot of growth in the way. So we will see how that goes. Other than that, Kerry dropped a lot of plant knowledge on us, and in-laws, and had some great questions for him, and he was able to answer and explain things to them, explain how the food forest was working, kind of stuff that's come in after we cleared it from just raw forest and started developing things. We've seen a lot of plants, pioneering species come in that are trying to help regenerate that forest. So that was cool. Kerry also talked to us about some ground cover for once we get our area graded up at the cabin, and it's going to be all mud. What we're going to want to try to get to come back in that'll be beneficial, I guess, and let us get out barefoot in the yard and not have a disastrous time trying to take care of it. So looks like there's a lot of native species that we'll be able to encourage growth of that are right there, and we're not going to have to seed a ton. We'll see what happens once we get everything graded out and the sun hits it and things start coming back. So last thing I got on my list really is a couple products, 3 or 4 products that I'm working on this week. Ben took a little time off with in-laws here. Didn't do a whole lot of messing around with product videos or even looking at the products that I have to do reviews on. But back at it this week, I got some gloves, some work gloves, and I've had them on a couple times. They're pretty comfortable. They're made by Kago. I've worked with Kago before. They sent me some a few different types of gloves so far. These ones are a lightweight work glove with like a polymer grippy feature on the hands. I don't think they're super heavy duty. They're more for like yard work and just general use. I don't think they're going to be all that durable. Three pairs for $12, so you're not looking at a fortune to get them. So gonna put those through their paces a little bit more and get a video out on them. Also have an RV stabilizer jack that I have to do a video on, even though that we're moving out of the RV. I think this stabilizer jack could be used for a lot of things. It's just your standard scissor jack, meant for the corner of the RVs, but you can repurpose that and use that for a bunch of stuff. I actually thought about popping it out of the box and using it for our beam when we were messed around with the beam, but had enough bottle jacks to get that to work. And the last product I have to assemble it this week and check it out is a stainless steel utility sink. Had a company reach out and ask if I wanted to check that out, and of course I did. I think we'll be using that for some outside water at the build site. Have a spare RV pump, a 12-volt RV pump that I plan to use the rainwater catchment tote from the shed. Have that sitting there, and I have a spare small solar system, just a small 12-volt 100 amp hour battery and some panels that will keep it charged. That I think I'll be able to hook up pressurized water from the tote to the sink when I get it set up. So for hand washing and whatnot out at the cabin until we have plumbing, we'll be able to have this stainless steel sink out there and have some pressurized water. So that's kind of exciting. So excited to get that together and see how it works. And then moving forward after we get the cabin built, I think that it might live in a shed, or we might end up using it, who knows, in the kitchen. 20-inch sink. I don't know what Corey's plans are, or not in the kitchen, in the restroom, in the bathroom. I don't know what Corey's plans are as far as sinks, but we'll see what this looks like and how it works, and we'll use it somewhere on the farm for sure. So always nice to have a sink available in different places. So we will see about that. Other than that, man, this week it should be another busy week. Like I said, Corey's got a couple days of work, and then we'll be back out at it, working on the cabin and knocking out the rest of those joists, and then on to getting the flooring installed. Definitely showing my age. I'm moving all these 2x12 by 12s, and they are ground contact pressure treated, so they're nice and wet. And heavy. Definitely feeling my age and how out of shape I let myself get being in the RV and not really eating the best and not using my body the way I should. Giving me the sign that it's time to start taking care of myself a little bit more. Have lots more of the 2x12s to move and cut and install, and then that 3/4 inch flooring is not light and not light either. So lots of working out to do. Guys, I think we're going to wrap it up today. Like I said at the beginning, there is a good coffee sale going on over at the Telegram chat. That's t.me/LotsChat, t.me/LotsChat. It's pinned at the top. If you don't see it, not sure if new members see the old messages in the group or the old pin messages. If you don't see it when you join the Telegram chat and get approved, let me know. Just say it, and I'll share the post with you, and you can get in on that coffee sale over at foodforestfarms.com. You can always just head on over to, if you don't want to join the Telegram chat and you just want to head over to Food Forest Farms and save 10%, use LOTS10, LOTS10. Put that in at checkout and you'll save 10%. And like I always say at the beginning, the shipping is always free. Hope you guys have an awesome week and get a bunch done. I'll be hanging out over on Telegram. Might spend a little time on socials. Got some things to do this week where I'll have signal and some waiting to do. So might see some action over there, but definitely in the Telegram chat. We will make it a good week. I hope you have an awesome week. Get everything done that you expect to, and we will catch you next Monday.